Hi everybody, it's Dr. Eric Balkowicz. We're back for another edition of Thyroid Thursday, and today we're going to be talking about diet and lifestyle. I just recently had a new patient consultation where the person I was having the consultation with was wondering why I was really focused on their diet and their lifestyle. And in the conversation, they really wanted to know, they've been struggling with this thyroid condition for a long period of time. They've tried lots of different medications, T4, Armor, NP thyroid, separate T4, separate T3. And their initial focus as they were coming into this new patient consultation was that I was going to give them the answer, the solution. What medication dose and which supplements were going to be right for her from that day forward to help her recover her thyroid physiology and feel great. And we had this discussion that it's more about a process. We talked about the key concepts that are important to me. What state are you in, allostasis or homeostasis? If you're in allostasis, it's probably why traditional treatment strategies aren't working. And then we have to identify what's causing the excessive stress load that's triggering this shift from homeostatic to allostatic regulation. And then number three, we've got to reduce or eliminate those stressors. And if we can reduce or eliminate those stressors, then many times thyroid physiology can recover. And so those are the key concepts, and those are the things that are really important if we're going to help somebody recover their thyroid physiology. What this person was hoping for was just the magic protocol that was going to fix things. And she said to me, "Why are you so concerned about my diet and lifestyle when really what I want is just the dose of medication and which supplements are going to make me feel better?" And here's why it's so important. If you're going to see somebody about your thyroid physiology, that we talk about diet and lifestyle. And if you're not talking about diet and lifestyle with your clinician and you're struggling with chronic hypothyroid symptoms, if you're stuck in what I call thyroid purgatory, you're better than you were before thyroid medication, but you're not where you want to be. Here's what's really important. So when we think about Hashimoto's, which is the primary driver of hypothyroidism, it's this immune-driven attack of the gland. Now, we can argue whether that's an immune system out of control or an appropriate adaptive response on other videos. But for today, we want to talk about there are two primary causes or issues associated with developing Hashimoto's. There's non-modifiable things that can be associated with developing Hashimoto's, and there's modifiable. So let's talk about the non-modifiable things. These are things you cannot change that may have predisposed you to developing Hashimoto's and hypothyroidism. Your age, your gender, your race, and your genetic predisposition. You can't change any of those. There are genes that are often associated with Hashimoto's and other autoimmune conditions, Graves' disease, Hashimoto's, and a list of peripheral autoimmune conditions. But the genes aren't the problem, okay? I know we like to make a big deal that, I have this gene, so I'm going to develop this issue. Genes may result in you developing a predisposition or having a predisposition to a certain condition, but just because you have a gene polymorphism doesn't mean you're going to have a condition. It just may make it more likely. What influences the genes to express and become potentially problematic is what we call the epigenetic factors. And the epigenetic factors are what happen to us that cause genes to act or not act, okay? And so these are what we consider the modifiable things. These are things you can change. These are often the things that cause the excessive stress, that cause your Hashimoto's, that cause the immune-driven disorder, that cause the hypothyroidism. So these are the only things you can change to help you recover. So if you can't change these, why put any time into worrying about those? And why don't we just focus on the things that we can change, that we can modify, that are probably at the root of why we developed hypothyroidism to begin with? We think about diet. Diet has a massive role in our health and in our disease process. And this is a big discussion today. We talk about smoking can be a risk factor. Alcohol, obviously it makes us feel good when we have some, but it can also make us feel really bad. Alcohol is a toxin. whole bunch of other environmental toxins, things that are in your water, your plastics, all the chemicals that we put onto our body. All of those things have an ability to increase stress load and inflammation and activate the immune system. Perceived stress. Now, sometimes people do get upset when I say it's either real or perceived stress. All stress is real if it's coming at us, but it's really about how we perceive it. If we think it's going to create stress and strain, and this is going to make me mad, and this is going to make me angry, it will. If we can find a way to reframe whatever that situation is, we can use that, what seems like a stressor situation, to push us forward versus hold us back. There's lots of people who are under tons of stress and seem to thrive in that condition. They're more resilient. There's other people that smaller amounts of stress create a lot of problem. It's how we internalize those stressful events that make a difference on our physiology. Disrupted sleep, challenged respiration, physical fitness, medications, mindset, intestinal microbiota. All of these things have the ability to be part of the stress load that triggers the cell stress or cell danger response, shifts us from homeostatic regulation to allostatic regulation. And if I've said this once, I've said it 100 times. When we're under cell stress, there is an adaptive change in thyroid physiology. There's a decreased conversion of T4 to T3 inside your cells that helps shift from homeostatic regulation to allostatic regulation. It's not broken physiology, it is adaptive physiology. In time, that if the stress is more chronic, and depending on what the stressors are, it can trigger thyroiditis and damage at the thyroid gland. But if you want to recover your thyroid physiology, if you want to improve your health, if you want the thyroid medication that you take to work better, to convert better, to make you feel and function better, it's never about the right dose of medication. How do I manipulate these values into appropriate range? I shouldn't say never. If you don't have any thyroid medication, you're going to need some. But if you don't address your state and what's created this stress load on your physiology, what's created this allostatic regulatory system, there's no way that the thyroid medication is going to help recover your overall health in general. It can manipulate numbers into range. Somebody can tell you they've optimized your thyroid physiology, even though you know that you don't feel optimized, even though you're stuck between where you were and where you want to be. So you can work on most of these things without any additional outside help. You don't need a functional medicine practitioner in most cases to help you shift from a processed food diet to a whole food based diet, to work on better sleep routine, better breathing, especially at night. You don't need a functional medicine practitioner to necessarily help you on a physical fitness routine that's going to be appropriate for you, especially if you're not doing anything. There's a lot of stuff, I call them the fitness factors, that you can work on at no cost that are foundational to you getting healthy and improving your health and well-being. All right. So if you have any questions, put them below wherever you watch this video. Spend less time worrying about what's the magic dose. Spend more time working on these modifiable factors, and the chances of you recovering your thyroid physiology will be much better.